So we will continue from where we stopped. So in 1908, in this video I'll be discussing some important facts which can be asked in prelims, and as well as some of the other questions which can be asked in mains also. Okay, so let me start. In 1908, there was an attempt to kill Kingsford, who was the magistrate of Muzaffarpur in Bihar. Okay, so attempt to kill Kingsford, the magistrate of Muzaffarpur. Okay, now who did this? That's important. Khudiram Bose, and Prafulla Kumar Chakki. Okay, so both were revolutionaries, and I have given you an idea about revolutionaries in my previous video. So they throw the bomb, okay, and they were inspired by the activities which is happening in Ireland and Russia. So they attacked Kingsford and they tried to murder him, but accidentally they killed two English ladies. Okay, so they killed two English ladies, and for this Khudiram Bose was hanged, and Prafulla Chakki committed suicide. So all these things, this thing was actually happened much before than Bhagat Singh, Chandrasekhar Azad, Rajguru, etc. Okay, so this happened much before these very famous revolutionaries. Now, next topic that I am going to discuss is actually Indian Council Act of 1909. Indian Council Act of 1909. Very important, both from prelims as well as mains point of view. Okay, so see, three important acts that we need to discuss from here onwards. That is actually 1909, 1919 and 1935 Government of India Act. Okay, so 1909 Indian Council Act or Morley-Minto reform. So the basic framework, how we are going to discuss is basically in all these three acts, we will first look at the background. Okay, so in which circumstance this act came, or the circumstances which led to the enactment of this act. Okay, then we will look at the provisions. Okay, provisions of the act, or the clauses, or the most important points. Then we will obviously look at the significance. Okay, so in this three dimensions we need to cover. So this is actually the broad framework. Significance means you will look at impact or critical analysis, etc. So let's start off with 1909 Minto-Morley reforms. 1909. Let's discuss about the background, then we will discuss about the provisions, then we will discuss about the significance or the impact. Now, who was Morley? Morley was the Secretary of State. Minto was the then Governor General and Viceroy. Now, the difference between Viceroy and Governor General, I hope you know it very clearly. After 1857 revolt, there is a post of Viceroy created, but the old post of Governor General continued, and the same person became Viceroy as well as Governor General. And what is his role as Viceroy? As a Viceroy, he is a representative of total India, including princely states. So India comprise of, okay, British India, this much, and some princely states. So if you remember, after 1857 revolt, there is a Queen's proclamation. In that, the Queen Victoria made a promise that there will not be any further annexations. So 1/3 of the India remained as princely states till independence. So around 1/3 of the states were not part of British India. But as a Viceroy, he is the representative of both princely state as well as British India to the Queen. Now, the same person as the Governor General, and what is his role? As a Governor General, he is in charge of governance in British India, this area. So he is having complete control over this area, British India. But as a Viceroy, he is a representative, and both are same person. Okay, so Minto was the Governor General and Viceroy at that time. Now, during this time, if you look at in the previous video, we have discussed there is an emergence of militant nationalism at this time. So three groups, basically on one hand moderates, and then we have seen extremists, and then revolutionaries. Okay, so when I say militant nationalism, militant group, this revolutionaries. Moderates, I told you already, they believe in legal way and constitutional way, and they acted accordingly. Extremists, they believed in mass mobilization and participation of masses and boycott, etc. But revolutionaries, they went for militant nationalism. And I told you one example just before, Khudiram Bose and Prafulla Chaki, they tried to murder the magistrate Kingsford, and later you can see a lot of development in revolutionary activities, like in terms of Bhagat Singh, Rajguru, Chandrasekhar Azad, etc., etc. Okay, so we'll discuss about all those things, but the point here is, the background is, there is an emergence of militant nationalism. Now, if you look at these three groups, out of this, government never want to talk to extremists because they believe in boycott and they believe in mass mobilization, etc. And revolutionaries will never talk to government. They only come up with bullets and guns, and they will attack the government officials and all. So the only group to which the government can communicate or speak is actually moderates. So the idea of government is basically to talk to moderates and accept some of their demands. So what will happen? The tempo of the nationalist movement, which was on the rise during this time, can be curtailed to some extent if you have some section, that is moderates, in your hand. Okay, so government started accepting moderates, and government started fulfilling certain demands of the moderates. And this is the background of Indian Council Act 1909, or popularly known as Minto-Morley reforms. Now let's look at the provisions. Okay, if you look at all these Council Act, the size of Central Legislative Council will increase, and the provincial assemblies will also increase. Okay, so obviously the first point is, the size of Central Legislative Council increased. So the size of Central Legislative Council increased. Size of provincial assemblies was also increased. Provincial assemblies were also increased. Now what will happen then? So that more Indians will enter into Central Legislative Council and Provincial Assembly. Now, they introduced direct election. So some members were elected and some were nominated also. Now the point is, even though I am talking about election, this election is not based on adult suffrage. It is based on limited suffrage. I have discussed about this point when we discussed about 1882 local self-governments during Ripon's time, right? So election was introduced in India for the first time, but it was not based on adult suffrage. It was based on limited suffrage. And adult suffrage you can see only during 1952 after the freedom, right? Now the point is, limited suffrage means few people are going to vote, and even very few people are going to contest election, which is on the basis of the tax you pay, education background that you have, etc., etc. Okay, so a minority is going to vote and a very minority is going to contest election. Now the point is, even in the beginning or during this stage, even the nationalist was also not against this. Nationalists were also in support of this, because nothing is going to happen to nationalists, right? See, if you remember 1878, three controversial policies of Lord Lytton: Arms Act, Vernacular Press Act, and lowering the age of civil services. These three are directly affecting the middle class or the nationalists, so they protested. But here, even though the election is only based on limited suffrage, they did not protest it. In fact, they supported, because if you are not educated, what is the point in vote? How can you select the appropriate person? That's the idea of the nationalist also during this time. So the point which I need to tell you is, election is there, but it is not based on adult suffrage. It is only based on limited suffrage, and only few people are going to vote, and very few people are going to contest election. And you know, there is a very famous statement by Gokhale. So what he said is, the educated class is the obvious leaders of society. Now if you see now the leaders, okay, now next provision. So next point is, one Indian would be inducted in the Governor General's Executive Council. So in the Governor General's Executive Council, one Indian will be inducted. And the first person was S.P. Sinha, and he was very loyal to British, and he was even named or called as Lord S.P. Sinha. Okay, so the first member or the first Indian in the Executive Council of Governor General is S.P. Sinha. Now next point is, Indian could join in the Indian Council in London. Okay, So it is named as Indian Council, but now Indian can join. Okay, Indian can join in the Indian Council in London. So the first two Indians joined are S.C. Gupta and Said Hussain Bilgrami. Okay, Bilgrami. Now next is the most important point among all, separate electorate for minorities, and 1909 is known for this point. Okay, so separate electorate is introduced in 1909 Minto-Morley Reform or 1909 Indian Council Act. So separate electorate for minorities. Now who are they? So separate electorate is given to Hindu zamindars, not only Muslims. Okay, so Hindu zamindars, Chamber of Commerce, Calcutta, Chamber of Commerce, Bombay, and Indian Muslims. Okay, so this is a very important point. Separate electorate for minority. So Hindu zamindars and Chamber of Commerce, Calcutta, Chamber of Commerce, Bombay, and Indian Muslims. Now, what is the idea? Why separate electorate is given? So obviously there will be two reasons. Nationalist version will be there and government reason will be there. When we discussed about partition of Bengal, we have seen the government version is Bengal was such a huge territory and difficult to administer. And nationalist version was it is a policy of divide and rule. So here also let's see the government version and nationalist version. So what the idea of government? See, let's suppose there is a constituency. Okay, now let's suppose 60% is Muslim and 40% is others. So obviously if a Muslim contestant is there, so 60% voters are Muslim means 60% is the chance for Muslim to win, right? But here the point that you need to be noted is in this 60% of the Muslim, hardly 5% had the right to vote. I told you it is not adult suffrage, right? It is based on limited suffrage. So minority is going to vote. So 5% is going to vote. Okay. So let's suppose they will get 5% vote. But if you consider the Hindus or others, they have more voters than Muslims. So if 5 is voting, so Hindus may have 8%. Within 40, they will get 8% of total. Okay. So if total 13% voters are there, out of that 5 is here, 8 is here. So who will win the election? So if one Muslim and one Hindu is contesting, even though the population is 40% only when it comes to Hindus, but voters are more in Hindus, so a Hindu candidate will win, and the chances for winning the Hindu candidate is more even in a Muslim majority area. Okay, and that is the idea of separate electorate. That's why in this electorate the candidate should be Muslim and the voters should also be Muslim. So to promote Muslims. I hope this idea is clear for you, and that's the idea of separate electorate. The candidate should be Muslim and the voters should also be Muslim. Okay, see, even though Muslim majority is there, but if a Hindu is contesting, more voters are there among Hindus because the voters are decided on the basis of education, land, the amount that you pay, tax, etc. Right? So Hindus is far ahead compared to Muslim in these aspects. So this is a government version. Now obviously what is the nationalist version? Nationalist version, as we have seen in the case of Bengal division, it is divide and rule. So they are saying that this is a policy of divide and rule. And in fact Jawaharlal Nehru wrote about this. Separate electorate in fact institutionalized communalism in India. Okay, so Jawaharlal Nehru wrote separate electorate in fact institutionalized communalism in India. So it is clear case of divide and rule, obviously. Okay, so whatever logic British say, it's still a clear case of divide and rule. Now what is the significance? Let's look at the significance. So we have seen the background, we have seen the provisions. Now let's look at the significance. Now first time Indians go to vote. Okay, so they started tasting election, then separate electorate that created a divide in the society. Okay, Indians are now in the power structure of British. So Indians are now in the power structure. So three names which I have discussed is SP Sinha, then S.C. Gupta, then Said Hussain, right? Said Hussain Bilgrami. So these are the three people. Now, one criticism that you can write is this act did not give any power to, no power to legislator, no power to legislator, because there was no debate on budget. Okay, no debate on budget. They can come, they can sit and they can discuss about this, but no vote or anything on budget. Now, among all, the most important point here when it comes to 1909 Indian Council Act is separate electorate. Now, the most important point, or interestingly, Jinnah opposed a separate electorate now, but later he is the person who is using this concept extensively. Okay, so that's about 1909 Indian Council Act. I hope you understood the background. Background is the government only want to speak to moderates and they want to appease moderates. Okay, so they come up with this enactment. Then we have seen the provisions and we have seen the Indians who entered into the British power structure. We have seen the significance.